welcome back to the channel. I have to talk about the best shonen anime of last season. You know, with the new season coming up, we have to talk about my favorite and what I think is the best shonen. I mean, I even wore, you know, my shonen shirt. And I mean, obviously, there's no question. I am talking about the My Dress Up Darling. I mean, come on, what were you think I was talking about? Like Demon Slayer? No, it's My Dress Up Darling. Gojo fights so many demons. More than Tanjiro. I'll tell you that right now. I'm making bold statements in this video because this anime came out of nowhere for me. I knew nothing about it, and actually my first recording viewing, I have it on tape. It's on the podcast, the Not Safe for Work Volume 4 that we did like a few weeks back. And actually today, when I'm releasing this video, we have a whole episode dedicated to My Dress Up Darling. It's a super great episode. I really think you guys would enjoy it if you want to check it out. But no, it's by the same studio, Cloverworks, that did Horimiya. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't love Horimiya. Like, it just didn't grab me. It was, I think, the high school thing. I don't know. Like, the characters didn't grab me. Nothing really grabbed me about that anime. I did watch the whole thing, and I think the ending was well done. And it was enjoyable enough, but it just didn't make me passionate enough to be like, oh, that's a great show. It's a good show. My Dress Up Darling? I don't think I've ever, and again, I've only really been in anime and manga for like about a year, but I don't think I've ever seen something take over the internet like Marin and My Dress Up Darling did. By episode 4, she was everywhere, and with good reason. And if you haven't given My Dress Up Darling a shot, one, because you're like, oh, it's overhyped, it's not my thing, or you think it's too cultured for you, or ecchi, or whatever you want to call it, I recommend you giving it a shot. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big ecchi guy myself, but I think what sets this show apart, at least for me, and why I think if you haven't given it a shot, I think you should absolutely give it a shot, is because, yes, it does have fan service. 100%. But I don't believe it has fan service for the sake of being fan service. I'll give you a perfect example. I should really like Fire Force. I don't. It's not my thing. I've watched half of the first season, and to me, it does the fan service part of the show in a way of just being like, oh, let's have this in your face. Hello. So, you know, in the middle of a fight, oh, he landed in this girl's chest. I get it. Could be for some people, and if you enjoy that stuff, fantastic. Like, I wish you nothing but the best. But for this show, it uses that aspect to grow. I understand the Love Hotel episode. I get it. I am not going to make that joke. Gojo got erect. To grow Gojo into a great character. He goes from a stereotypical, I am a shut-in, I don't really get along with people, I don't understand people, I'm shy, and he meets Marin, who breaks him out of that shell. And see, that's the difference. They use the etchiness in service of the story. And that's why if you haven't given it a shot yet, I think if you can wrap your head around, like, hey, you're going to see some things and some stuff. If you enjoy it for the story it's trying to tell, I have never immediately been drawn to characters like I have with My Dress Up Darling. And on top of that, the animation is, woo! I'm not talking about those scenes. I'm talking about in general. It is a very clean animation style that I really enjoy. But for the beginning of this video, why do I think it's the best shonen of last season? Simple. Gojo fights demons. Some of these scenes, and it is played for comedy, but that man is fighting for his life out there. It is like Marin is the final boss, and he goes through training arcs from measuring her for her costume to going to a very questionable photo shoot location. Love Hotel. It's a love hotel. But you cannot tell me that Gojo does not have some fight scenes. He fights with a button that pops off. He fights with himself. There's an inner struggle. He has all the classic signs of a shonen protagonist in a slice of life, ecchi rom-com. And it's great to see. It makes him that much more interesting. Because a shonen protagonist, to me, is someone that wants to be the very best at something. Whether it be the strongest in the world, the best ninja in their village, the most powerful. If they want to overcome tragedy and become the best version of themselves that they can be. These are all tropes of shonen protagonists. Look at Gojo. His parents are dead. That's tragedy. He wants to be the very best Hina doll maker. In turn, he finds something that he also wants to be the best at, which is cosplay. Shonen protagonists train hard to battle villains or battles within themselves. Sometimes they are their biggest enemy. Gojo, if you are not telling me Marin is not training him for life, you're wrong. And especially, and I think Cloverworks knows this, because if you look at some clips of the show, it is drawn and animated like a shonen battle, especially when he has battles within himself. Look at this clip. That man is struggling. It's like he's in a gravity chamber, like he's Goku on his way to Namek. But no, it might not be the best shonen of this season. It might not even be a shonen at all. I'm kind of doing that to be fun. I actually do think it has a lot of shonen tropes, though, that I have named. But really, I wanted to do this video as a person that has never been into this kind of anime. I was so taken aback by how wholesome this show is. Because a lot of people, if you look on the internet, again, the internet, great place. Not like toxic at all, the internet. It's a very wholesome place. But if you look at the internet and you don't know anything about the show, and you see what people are posting and talking about, I could totally see how you'd be like, oh, it's one of those waifu things. Ah, these degenerates. I totally understand where you're coming from, but that's why I made this video, to tell you, yes, it has all of that stuff, but the wholesome meter, they cranked it up to 12. The knob is all the way at full. A perfect example is they have a beach episode. You know, the quintessential anime beach episode. That's what it's normally used for, is like, you know, fan service. They flip it on its head, and Gojo and Marin have maybe one of the most real connection / conversation that I've seen two anime characters have. Definitely this season of anime when it came out, but honestly, maybe that I have ever seen. And again, I haven't watched all the anime. I would compare it to a silent voice. I would compare My Dress Up Darling to a silent voice, no question. I love a silent voice. A silent voice might be my favorite anime movie I've ever watched. I love that movie. I think about that movie a lot. I've thought about doing a video on that movie. That movie is important. I think even people that are not into anime should watch that movie. That's how important I think that movie is. But I think My Dress Up Darling, for, yes, it's more comedic than a silent voice, and it's going to be longer because I'm sure they're going to be a second season. If it was just going to be one season, which I know it wasn't, but if they were thinking that after the 4th episode, when everything blew up on the internet, I promise you they walked into the animation house and said, hey, recut that last episode. There's going to be more. We haven't even came close to the money we're going to make on these figures. So if they weren't planning a season 2, they are now. Because like I said, I've never seen a show take by storm the internet that wasn't a shonen cookie cutter anime that does it really well. Like I love all that stuff. I literally have made a video about Demon Slayer and why I think it's the new gateway anime. My Hero, I'm not a huge fan on, but I grew up Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, I am shonen. But hardly you see a new anime that it wasn't a revival, it wasn't a continuation, it was a brand new IP anime, just become part of the conversation so quickly. And that's why they're definitely going to have a season 2. But like I was saying, yes, it might be more comedic than A Silent Voice, but with its multiple seasons, hopefully, I think it has the ability to flip that genre on its head and actually tell you an emotional story. A story that means something. And that's why I think I fell in love with that show so quickly. One, I think there haven't been two better characters and more relatable characters. And the stuff that they struggle with is like a DSLR camera and how expensive lenses are. Yeah, I relate to that. Or lighting. Or can you cross that line with a friend or is it more important to have the friendship and kind of keep your feelings to yourself? Stuff that has been discussed before in entertainment medium forever. But you can't take away from the fact when someone does it good. And I feel like you do have to say, like, they are doing it really, really well. And I think what blew me away is there was no expectations going in. If you listen to the end of that podcast episode, I knew nothing about this show because it's just my buddies recommending me, like, anime that I don't normally watch that is, NSFW. Like, I don't know. It's just a fun idea that we had, but I had no idea going into it. And then we watched it. And there's something to be said about watching an anime with no expectation because it's so hard to do nowadays. It's so hard to not have any expectation for animes. Because with the internet and the hype that comes with popular mangas getting adapted, especially if you're big into manga like me, like you kind of know, you're like, oh, that manga is going to be adapted. I know Solo Leveling one day will be adapted. It's perfect for it. It's a manga, but I mean, still. I know like Sakamoto Days is going to be adapted. Kaiju number 8 is probably going to be adapted. You can start picking out like, oh, that one's going to be adapted. So that hype is already building. And I'm sure for manga readers of My Dress Up Darling, I don't know. I wasn't one of them, so I can't speak to that. But maybe they were like, oh, no, this is... Marin, have you seen her? It's going to be adapted. No question. No question of if it is, just when it is. And for that, I said, where were you in my comments before this anime came out? I'm going to collect this manga. I really want to read the manga, but obviously when a popular anime comes out, it's super out of stock everywhere. It's hard to find. I was just so shocked that a anime can come out of left field. I knew nothing about it, and it struck a chord with me. And it's very hard for me nowadays to be like, I'm 100% in because I know you have friends like this where you're like, oh, wait a minute, in 20 episodes? Gets great. You got to push through. Even shows that I really enjoy, Black Clover is a perfect example of that, where when I recommend it to somebody, I'm like, listen, it's a great show. I actually do think the Black Clover anime is really, really good. But give it a few episodes and you'll start warming up to Asta and all them. And you'll meet like the Black Bulls and stuff will really start spinning up. I guess the last one I can think of that did this for me was Haiku. I was in on Haiku episode 1, season 1. And that's the last anime that I can remember where I was like, I am here for all these characters. I kind of don't care what the story is. I care so much about the characters. That's the same way I feel about Gojo and Marin. I don't care where they go in season 2. It'll probably be like, because of how season 1 ended, I'm not going to spoil it because it literally came out like 2 weeks ago. But how it ended, it's probably going to be them coming to terms with them having feelings for each other. I don't care. I just really enjoy these characters, and their dynamic together is some of the best that I have seen. Definitely last season in anime, if not, again, in a very long time. Being relatable, being so wholesome because they are for each other. And that's what it's all about. I think that's what I relate to, and I think other people relate to. I'm just going to take a shot in the dark, is finding somebody that is for your thing. Because I think there are things that we're all into that you kind of, not hide, but kind of don't put on Front Street for all your friends and family. Just because, one, you either know they're not going to be into it, or two, you're just going to be like, I don't want to hear it. but to find someone that not only is for you and for the thing that you are passionate about, but actively goes out of their way to make sure that you can excel at something that you're passionate about. That's the key to the story for me with My Dress Up Darling. Those two characters randomly coming together, finding out each other's secret passion, and not only accepting each other for their secrets, which they thought no one would ever do, but coming together to actually help each other excel in either their gifts, talents, or stuff they're passionate about. And I think that's what makes My Dress Up Darling so special. And maybe not the best shonen of last season, but absolutely, bar none, my favorite anime of the year so far. I think it is something special, and I think if you are pushing it to the side because you think it is just cultured, ecchi, rom-com, no substance, just certain body parts, I think you're doing yourself a great disservice. And if you have watched this video all the way through, do yourself a favor, and for me, check out episode 1 of My Dress Up Darling. I think you will be surprised, just like I was, that it's actually trying to tell a story that can be one of the deepest stories and most important stories for somebody. I think people are going to watch this anime and relate to these characters besides the waifu stuff of it and husbando. Besides all that, I think someone is going to follow their passion because they watched the My Dress Up Darling anime. And if that's not what people do in entertainment, is to tell stories to help others and help people be true to themselves, I don't know what is, because that's what I look for in entertainment. And to be entertained. And this does both 1,000%. Wholesome, funny, a little spicy. Great animation, and two of the most likable characters in anime that I have seen in quite some time. Whew. I feel like I just did a TED Talk about My Dress Up Darling. I don't know. I just was really struck by that anime, and it blew me away in all reality. To come back to reality, I'm sorry. I don't even think I was entertaining in this video. I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying to make jokes or anything. I really apologize. If you're like, where's like being funny and kind of being loose? That was you got very serious. I don't know what to say. It came out. I'm sorry. But if you have heard me ramble about My Dress Up Darling, let me know in the comments below if you actually do check it out and what you do think. Even if you don't like it, I would love to have a conversation with someone that feels the opposite of me, because that is how we learn and that is how we grow. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. As always, I super appreciate it. I hope maybe I got you to watch an anime you would never watch, and maybe you really end up enjoying it. That would be incredible and awesome. But yeah, hopefully you were entertained, even though I was very serious in this video. I again apologize. Didn't mean to get that serious. I promised next video will be definitely more lighthearted. But yes, thank you as always for your support and liking the videos and talking with me in the comments. I'll say it every video. I don't care. You guys are incredible. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I'll see you next time.